everybody. It's Brenda Miller from Stampin' Up. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator in New Jersey in the United States, and I come live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to share some new ideas and show you what I'm working on and just talk Stampin' Up for just a few quick minutes. I try to keep these classes short, so I call them my quick class. And you can find me here every Wednesday. So today we're going to be talking about Designer Series paper one more time. I'm sure we'll talk about it again, but this Friday, June 30th, is the last day that you can take advantage of the sale that we have going on this month for 13 different packages of our Designer Series papers. And Designer Series papers, or DSP as I will be referring to it, is just so versatile, whether you're scrapbooking or card making or gift making. Just having a wide variety of different patterns and ideas are just great to have on hand, and ours is far superior, in my opinion, to any other that you'll find out there. So I'm going to be sharing with you today a template that helps you use 6x6 paper to make a card that uses both sides of the DSP. And I originally found this, I think, from Karen Titus, another Stampin' Up demonstrator from a few years ago. And I said, wow, you know, I haven't done this in a while. Let me go ahead and show you what it is that I do with this particular template. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to pop over to my desktop. Here we go. And so this is the template. And as you can see, it's a 6x6 piece of Designer Series paper, and it shows you where to cut. So basically, you're cutting it to be 5 1/4 inches high, which means you're going to chop off the bottom 3/4 of an inch of a piece of 6x6 card Designer Series paper, and then you'll have 2 inches left, which you'll divide into 1-inch strips. So 5 1/4 leaves you on a standard 5.5 by 8.5 card folded in half. It leaves you a little border all the way around, and I'm going to show you how that looks in the end and how we can dress it up a little bit. So this is the template, and I'll put this in the comments so that you can see it and refer to it. But I'm going to pull out my trimmer. Here's my Stampin' Up paper trimmer and a pack of our Designer Series papers. This is one of the ones that is on sale this month. This paper pack is called Hello Irresistible. And just a note, this is one of our online exclusives, so you don't see this in the catalog, but it is available online. And just a little sneak peek is that we have new Designer Series papers and other online exclusives launching, I believe, on the 6th of July. So that's just next week. So just so that you know that's coming, but that's what this paper is. And I have been using this a lot. I love it. And I actually chose this sheet, and I think I've used this before in a class. But the first thing you want to do is determine which way you want your card to go. So in other words, which piece needs to be 4 by 5 1/4, and in what direction does that go? So I definitely want to get as much of this as possible. And I am going to then trim off 3/4 of an inch at the bottom. In other words, I'm going to make this half of the paper, let me pull this down so you can see my lines, my ruler. This half of the paper is going to be 5 1/4 inches, as we discussed. Okay, so I'm chopping that off, and I can use this for something else in the future. Now I'm going to take the paper and I'm going to cut it at 4 inches. And then again at 1 inch, so that I have 2 1-inch strips. What's nice about our trimmer is that you have a little ruler on this side and on this side, so I can see that I have it in the right place. And there we go. I've got the pieces that I need to make my card. Okay, so one thing to note, now this one isn't as noticeable, but take a look. This is the back side of the paper, and see how it coordinates so nicely with the front side. Now that's not always the case, but many times it is the case that both sides of the paper coordinate beautifully together. And then you go to make cards and you're like, oh no, I love this side just as much as I love the other side. And at least in my case, I end up hoarding it and not using it at all. And that kind of defeats the purpose. So, okay, so I've got my designer series paper cut as shown in my template. Again, here it is. All right. And so then I'm going to take a piece of, this is Petal Pink cardstock, and it is cut at 5.5 by 5.5. Okay. And I then scored it at 1.25. Okay. And folding it down so I have a nice crease. Okay. So now that this is going to become our card base, the first thing I want to do for this, now that I've got it cut, is I want to take a piece of basic white cardstock. You could use vanilla, or whatever color you like, and I'm going to put that in the center of, oops, I was using my adhesive last night in a class. Looks like I got something on it, and I'm just going to put it so that it has a border all the way around on what would be the inside of the card, so you can see where that is. All right, and now what I'm going to do is take that 4 by 5.25 piece of designer series paper. I'm going to place it down so that it covers the white. Okay, and I'm just placing it there and holding it in place because this is going to become my card front. But I want to make sure that it covers up the white that you can see when the card is closed. Okay, so sometimes, when I cut, sometimes it's not exactly perfect. This time it happens to be, everything is straight, but sometimes, it's not, and you might have a little sticking out on one side. So to make sure that that doesn't happen, I'm just laying it down and covering it up. And just because I'm right-handed, I'm turning it over so that I can put a bunch of adhesive on this flap. Okay, and now just two things to note when you do that. You don't want to go too far to the fold because you don't want it to get sticky and stay stuck in place, and you want to make sure you don't go to the ends either. And what we're going to do is fold it over, and that becomes your card front. See that? So when you open the card, you now can see the other side of the paper. Now we're not done, of course. I'm going to take another piece, one of the 1-inch pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Oops, I want to use this one, and I want to use the side, the opposite side of the paper, so that this nice watercolor effect is going down the front. And I'm just placing it on here. And now this one melts together very nicely, but you could just as easily use something that's contrasting to do on your border. Okay. And then I'm going to take my other piece, and this is the piece that has the pattern on it, and I'm going to put it on the inside of the card because then that just sort of brings the whole thing together. And voila. Covers the whole edge of the paper. So here we go. That is now our card base. Isn't that fun? And I love that we can use both sides of the paper. So let's finish off this card. And of course, I couldn't let you go without seeing the rest of that bundle of the Irresistible Blooms. I know I used it quite often since it's been released, but these are the dies. And whoops, I've been moving my dies to this thinner these thinner magnetic sheets so that I can keep them in my box more easily. And I took out 2 of the stamps. I have this flower and the hello. Okay, so I'm not actually using any of the dies on this project just for sake of time, but just so that you know that's what they are. And then I took a 1 3/4 inch circle. I punched it out of basic white, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp on my hello, and I'm using Flirty Flamingo. It is one of the colors that is featured in the designer series paper. Oh, that's something I wanted to show you. Did you know, or are you aware, that on the back of every designer series paper, it tells you the colors that are used, and this information is also found in the catalog or online wherever you see that you can purchase the designer series paper. So that's how I decided to use Petal Pink and Flirty Flamingo, because they were on the back. So I did the hello, and that's great. And I'm just gonna, just for a little accent, I like to do this. I'm taking the smaller of the flowers and I'm inking it up in, this is Petal Pink, believe it or not, it's hard to tell. And I'm just gonna stamp part of the flower onto the circle. So there you go, you get a little bit of contrast. I could have used more of the flower, less of the flower, but you get the idea. And then I took a label. This label is actually from the Nature's Prints dies. So this is a stamp set that was available last year, and it's also available this year. And these are the coordinating dies. And here's the label. And I love this label because it goes so beautifully with circle punches. And I have been, I admit, using it a lot lately. So I'm going to take this label. Look at the detail on that, right? You get the little beveled edges. It's so nice. And I'm going to take some dimensionals. And here we go. I'm putting the dimensionals on the back. I'm going to put that here on, oops, you know what? I don't want to cover up my flowers so much. So I'm going to put it over here this time. And you'll see why I say this time. I made a whole bunch of other cards for you to see using the same template. And I'm going to just use regular adhesive. There we go. On the circle, and add that to right over that. And here we have our pretty card. Of course, we could use some little embellishments and dress it up a little bit. So that's just one card that you can make with some designer series paper. And so that was done with one 6x6 sheet of paper. So let's take a look at some others that I made. This one uses the same paper I used last week in our quick class, and that is the the Inked Botanicals Designer Series paper. And you see that this paper has polka dots on one side and flowers on the other. And I went ahead and used the stamp set that goes with it. Same exact focal point as I used last week, but you can see, same idea. This one is done using the 6x6 Bold and Beautiful Designer Series paper, and it coordinates so nicely with the balloons. Did I take that out? All right. Well, anyway, the balloons bundle that we have. And you see when we open it up, we have that nice lemon lime twist on the inside, along with the fun different colors on the front. And we use the balloons as the focal point for that. Next one, this is actually, so you recognize this paper. I also use this in a different class. And this is from the giant pack of designer series paper. And let me pull that out to show you. And this pack of paper comes with 48 sheets, and that's a lot of paper, and that's a lot of cards that you can make. And those 48 sheets down here, it's called Delightfully Eclectic. These 48 sheets, this is the sheet I used, you cut them into 6x6 squares, right? So our template is 6x6. Well, that you get 4 of those out of a 12x12 sheet of paper. And then you do the same thing that we do with the 6x6 piece, and you can get both sides. And that is my favorite pattern out of that pack, which you've seen before. And when you open it up, you have that fun Night of Navy pattern on one side and those pretty flowers, and it's all combined with the fresh freesia and a couple of little flowers. Another piece of 12x12, this is from the Les Shops designer series paper, and I love that it has the books and it makes a perfect thank you card. This thank you is from the Something Fancy, as are as are the dies that were, and the stamp that was used to make the last card. But that's where the thank you comes from. And when we open this up, you see that we have room to write, and it's just a fun card and great for a librarian that you might know. I know a few librarians. And then, if you're wondering, you could also make it a masculine card, right? So this is using 12x12 paper cut into 6x6. This is the Gone Fishing, and I just hand cut out the fish And when you open it up, you have the netting on one side and you have the fishing rods on the other. And I just thought this could be a great Father's Day or birthday, masculine birthday, or whatever card, right? So that's just another way to use it. So I hope that with these 6 designs that you got a nice idea of all the things that you can so easily do with designer series papers. And I'm just showing you again. And I hope that you'll take advantage of the sale that we have going on through Friday. Again, there are 13 packs of designer series paper that are on sale for 15% off. So it's a great time to stock up. Let's see what else. It's also, since it's the end of June, we are getting to the end of the sign on. If you wanted to become a Jersey stamper and as a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I'd love to have you on my team. So that's something, I posted that today. You can see all the information on my website at brendamillersu.com. Thanks, Kathy. I'm glad you like them. And let's see what else. So that's the information about the signing on to be a demonstrator. And then we have the sale. And then next week, you can look forward to seeing some new online exclusives. And hopefully, I'll have a few of those to share with you then. So until then, thank you so much for joining me. And we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.